Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new then welcome. My name is Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. So before you go, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave any comments that you have for me down below. Guys, I am so excited for this video, and I know in my last video I was talking about not doing just new makeup releases, but I just had to talk about this new release because I'm really excited. They are the new Patrick Ta Spring Collection blushes. I got all three new shades. He came out with three beautiful springtime shades, so we're going to be putting these on the face. I'm going to be swatching them, and I'm going to talk about what I think they look like on me as someone that has a medium skin tone. So if you guys are interested in seeing what these look like on myself, then let's get started. It comes in his standard blush packaging. I do have two of the shades. So this one is my most recent Patrick Ta blush purchase aside from the three that I just got. This is in the shade She's Blushing. It's this beautiful pinky brownish tone blush. It's a little bit more neutral, but definitely leans towards more pink. I've talked about this in previous videos. I really like this formulation, and I really like this shade. This was like my go-to for quite a while when I first purchased it. And then I also have the shade Do We Know Her? And honestly, when I bought this, I was really into these types of shades. I really loved a good corally, good peachy type of blush. But since then, I just haven't really reached for it. I don't know. I honestly think it's the shade color. Maybe I was kind of transitioning out of that phase where I really liked the peachy corally shades, and I just didn't really reach for it because it can't be the formulation, because I love the formulation of this one and they're the same exact formula. Just to give you guys a little bit of the specs, these are $38, pretty pricey. It is quite pricey for a blush, but if you really think about it, you are getting two finishes, so essentially you're getting two different blushes. So it would be roughly like $19-ish if you think of it that way. You get each blush, a cream and a powder, for $19. So I watched a couple of videos of Patrick talking about these new blushes, this new expansion of the line, and he wanted to come out with blush shades that kind of just added a little subtleness, a little bit of color to the cheeks, but nothing that was going to be too vibrant or too crazy. So he came out with shades that kind of help you achieve that look, and this was the shade that I saw and I was like, I need that. It's gorgeous. So this is in the shade Not Too Much. I feel like that's exactly what this blush is giving. It's giving very subtle, very subdued, and this one is described as a soft rosy taupe. And then we have Just Enough. This is going to be a cool tone pink. It's a soft blue pink tone. You guys know me, I don't really go for these types of shades even when they were becoming very, very popular. I just don't really think they look all that great on me, but I wanted to try it out anyways. Maybe I will be wrong about this. Maybe it'll add just a little subtle color, a little like whisper of pink on the cheeks. And then lastly, we have the shade She's the Moment, and it seems very similar at first glance to Do We Know Her? This one is described as a golden peach, kind of like a soft tangerine shade. You really see a lot of that orange in there, but it also seems a little bit more balanced out with some pink in it. So I think it is giving more peach than orange. Also, I do want to note that these seem to open up pretty easily, like flat, while these kind of just lay like this. I don't know if it's because it's new and I just haven't really gone into them, but they seem to want to stop opening around here, even though you can still force it open this way. I think maybe the hinges are just a little loose because, you know, I've been using it a lot, so hopefully this doesn't break over time. I don't know, I guess we'll see. So I'm going to include some swatches here for you guys so you can kind of see the comparisons between the two shades or the two duos that are similar. So comparing Not Too Much to She's Blushing, you can see from the swatches that She's Blushing is definitely going to be a little bit more of a beigey brown tone. Still has a lot of that pink in there, but this one is definitely going to be something a little bit warmer, whereas Not Too Much is going to add just a bit more pinky tone, and it's also just overall going to be lighter. And then comparing Do We Know Her to the shade She's the Moment, you can see from the swatches it's a lot easier to see when they're swatched side by side versus just looking at them in the pan. She's the Moment definitely lends more of a pinky peach tone, while Do We Know Her gives us a little bit more of an orangey peach peach tone. This is going to be a lot brighter in that sense, where it's a lot more orangey, while She's the Moment, I think with different makeup looks, this one will be a little bit more versatile because it's right in the middle of being pinky and right in the middle of being orangey. So exactly what it says in the description, it is definitely a soft peach shade. Now that we have the comparisons out of the way, let's go ahead and put these on the face. Now, if you don't already know, if you've never tried Patrick Ta blushes, or if you have and you may not have known this, Patrick Ta does recommend that you actually use the powder portion first and then you use the cream on top of that. I love going in with the cream product and then topping it with a powder, but this has you do it in reverse. You can definitely still go in with the cream and then go on top of the powder. I have done that in the past and it looks beautiful, but I think there's a couple reasons why he recommends doing that. So first off, I think that the powder will kind of set what you have underneath it. So if you have foundation, concealer, whatever type of liquid or cream underneath, it kind of sets it down with that blush color. And then to bring a little bit of life back into the cheeks, you add the cream on top and it'll bring a little bit of dewiness, a little bit more of a natural sheen, but it also gives you that blush color. I'm pretty sure those are like some of the reasons why he recommends it. It works great either way. I've used just the cream and I've used just the powder. It's such a versatile product. So I want to go in with not too much because this is the one I'm most excited about. Today I do have my complexion products on. If you want to see kind of my process, go watch my everyday makeup routine. But basically I just use some concealer, a skin tint, and then I did put a little bit of the Milani Cheek Kiss cream bronzer on top right here because that's naturally what I would do with my makeup. So I'm going to go now and do this, and I think I'm going to do what he recommends and go in with the powder first and then top it with the cream. I don't have any powder on my face. I don't think I will be powdering my face for this video since I will be taking my makeup off and reapplying it. Let's go ahead and go in with this powder here. Now I will say that the powders are quite dusty. That hasn't changed much. You definitely get a good amount of powder fallout here, as you can see right there in the pan. It's not a huge deal to me. Honestly, it never has been, whether it be with eyeshadow or like blush. But you do have this little door right here to protect the cream from getting any powder into it, which is really nice. I'm just going to use this BK 113 brush and I'm going to apply this on the tops of my temples right here and kind of pull it up. I don't really want to round out my face too much, so I'm going to try not to put it too much in the center of my face. Sometimes I do end up doing it anyways and I'm like, oh well. Already such a soft flush. It is probably one of the more natural looking blushes that I've used in quite some time. And I'm actually going in with like a pretty decent amount of powder. Usually I'll do a very, very light tap and then I'll just build on top of that. But this color doesn't scare me too much. Like I'm not so intimidated to where I'm afraid to put any of it on my face, you know? I'm just going to kind of connect it and put it on top of that bronzer too. And I'm going in with a patting motion because I haven't used any setting powder on my face. I don't want to like smear any of my foundation or concealer. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, such a beautiful flush of color. Exactly what I thought it would be, honestly. On my skin tone, I think it's translating a little bit more pink and it seems to be a little, like a touch lighter than what I thought it would be on my face. Like, do you see that? Is it a neutral tone or is it cool tone? I don't know. I'm so bad with like undertones when it comes to stuff like this. It's pretty though. You can continue to layer it. It looks really nice, not blotchy at all. We're not necessarily talking about too much of the formulation because my overall thoughts on the formulations for these blushes are positive. I think that these are really pretty, and just depending on what shade you choose to use will determine how much you should use of each one. And I'm going to take this Makeup by Mario brush and just use this little side right here, this paw brush side, and I'm going to just pack the cream on top of the powder here. And usually these cream blushes, yeah, are pretty pigmented. I find that they're kind of more pigmented than the actual powders in this duo. Definitely brings a lot of light into the face and it looks more natural here. So here is the cream topping the powder on this side. And then here is just the powder. You can see it's a lot more subtle, very toned down. I think this is beautiful and it adds a little bit more drama. So if you feel like the powder is just not doing enough for you, then you can top it with this cream. And I think this is definitely like what I envisioned this color was going to be on me. So beautiful. Definitely adds a little bit of color without being too much. Not too much. This is like a medium tan, deep toned girl's dream. This right here is going to give you the look of a soft pinky neutral shade without like becoming too stark and too pink on the cheeks, you know? Like I was a little afraid that if I continued to build that powder by itself, it was just going to get too pinky, but this topping each other, I really like it. When it comes to more bright pink shades on myself, sometimes I just feel like it's a little bit out of place. Like I want something that looks a little bit more natural. And this looks quite natural, but it still looks like I'm wearing a blush. It looks like a beautiful flush, you know what I mean? I actually forgot to put on the one lip product that I bought from the collection. He did also come out with rich plumping glosses. He came out with an extension of his line, and I purchased the shade Obviously. These are my types of shades, and I wanted to put this on and try it. I don't know if I've ever tried his plumping gloss. So I think I want to go pretty brown tone with this, so I'm actually taking this Juvia's Place lip liner in the shade Cola, and I'm just going to apply this and then put the gloss right on top. Oh, it has a scent to it. It's kind of like fruity, kind of floral. It smells like a perfume. I have no clue what this plumping gloss is supposed to feel like. I don't know if it's going to be minty or if it's going to be spicy or if it's just not going to give me any of those. That's pretty. A little bit of deepness. I think alone it would look really pretty by itself too. I'm getting mint. I'm getting a little bit of tingly mintiness, but it's not ice cold type of mint. Pretty. Okay, anyways, back to the blush. I'm going to go ahead and remove this and then we're going to move on to the next color. Alright, I am back. I just put my complexion back on and I cleaned my brushes off with this Sephora Dry Shampoo Brush Cleaner. Have you guys ever used this? It comes out kind of like a hairspray type of thing, but it is like a wet spray, and then you just like brush it off the same way that you would use Cinema Secrets, except it's like in a can form. It's pretty good. It does have a little bit of a scent to it, and I like this whenever I need to quickly like clean my brushes off. Anyways, so now I want to go in with the shade She's the Moment. So what I want to do with this one actually is go in with the powder first on one cheek and then go in with the cream first on the other one, so you guys can kind of see what either one looks like just by itself, and then I'll top it with the remaining side. Let's go in with the powder first, and this one seems like it has pretty high pigment, so I'm just gonna get rid of as much excess as I can here so we can just build on top of it. So I'm just going to apply this. Oh, but it's still so subtle, and that's not a bad thing. By the way, I love a good blush that I can build on top of versus just giving me like crazy pigmentation to begin with. Oh, that's beautiful. Definitely can see those pinky tones in here with the orange, so it doesn't seem as intense. And now we're going to be taking, again, that Makeup by Mario and the cream, and we're going to put it on this side of the face to see what that looks like by itself. Ooh, nice pigmentation. Flawless blend here. That's beautiful. I actually love the way that this cream looks by itself because it's even more subtle, but you can still definitely see a lot of that orangey, a lot of that peachy tone in it. Okay, I love the cream more than the powder. Maybe I went a little overboard on the powder side. You guys let me know. But this side right here is going to be just the powder, and then this side right here is just the cream. You can see the cream is a lot more subtle, a little bit more sheer, while the powder can give you a good amount of pigmentation. Either way, I think that both of them are really beautiful, very versatile too. All right, and now we are going in with the powder on this side to top it off, just so I can show you guys what that looks like. And I'm gonna go in with very little to begin with, because now I know that the pigment on this powder is very strong. I have a feeling that this one is going to be such an incredible shade to wear in the spring and summertime. I think that with my skin getting more tan in the summer like it naturally does, definitely went overboard with this one, especially with the powder, but Here's what the face is looking like with the two of them combined. What do you guys think about this color? For me, it's a little bit intense, but honestly, the actual tones of the colors I really like. I just think that I went in with a pretty heavy hand. I got really excited. Oh, you know what? This actually may not be a problem because typically after I do my blush, I will powder the face with a translucent powder and do a little bit of like Huda baking powder on top of it. So I do lose a good amount of the pigmentation from blushes whenever I do that. And I usually go in and top the setting powder to get a little bit more color. So maybe once this is set down with a powder, it'll kind of like be that nice subtle look that I typically go for. So actually, I think this is a good starting point. The more I look at it on my viewfinder right here, the more I'm like, it's pretty. I actually really like this color. And I haven't played around with peachy, soft peach, orangey tones in quite a while. So this is really intriguing to me right now. Gonna take this off and we're gonna go in with our last shade. All right, and lastly, we're going in with this bluish pink tone. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of these like baby pink tones on myself. I know that you guys were like begging me to try the Patrick Star one, the 3-pan blush trio thing, but I really didn't want to spend the money on it, honestly, because I just knew that it wasn't going to be something that I liked. This one, I just kind of feel like it's going to work a little better because I do feel like this formulation is a lot easier for me to work with. If I need to sheer it out, I totally can do that. And having this cream shade as well as the powder, I don't know, there was just something about it where I was like, I'm willing to try this one out because this formulation honestly is a lot more versatile for me and a lot more foolproof as well. So going in with the powder first. I don't know why I'm like super nervous for this. Let's go in with a little less than we did with the last shade. For this one, I think I'm gonna try to keep it as close to the temple and as close to my actual eye as possible, because I've seen people doing this where they have this shade of blush higher up on the face and it doesn't look as crazy. Like it doesn't look as out of place to me. So maybe if I do that, it's not bad. Just gonna take it literally right under the eye. Probably no lower than my actual cheekbone. This is what the powder is looking like. And before I go overboard, I'm gonna go in with the cream on this side. So the cream is definitely more sheer, again, like the last shade and probably the shade before that. This one looks like a natural flush. Partly because it is a cream, those tend to look more natural anyways, but also because I think it's just a bit lighter in tone. Is this washing me out, guys? Yeah, it's definitely very light by itself here. I can see it, but I also almost feel like it looks like a concealer that's a little too bright. Like it's giving that, but with pink in it. But here is the cream side, and then here is the powder side. Honestly, I feel like the powder side looks a little bit darker. Therefore, it's looking a little less light pink and crazy on me. Let us reverse and top the cream and top the powder. So first taking the powder on this side, doing the same placement. Ooh, that's right. I don't know about this one. I don't know, guys. And then topping the powder now. I think this needs to stay on the temple and by the eye. I don't think I should like bring it up. And I think it needs to stay like literally just right here. I don't think I can bring it lower and I don't think I should bring it higher. This side looks better to me than this side. This looks very, very pigmented, a little bit too much. And I think it helps that I went in with a really light hand of the blush before going in and topping it with the cream. This side looks pretty good. Like honestly, I'd probably wear this side for sure. This one, not so much. This is giving me hot pink energy. This side looks way better. The powder and then the cream on top, amazing. I'm pretty sure I went in with the same amount. That's why I'm like a little confused. Maybe the powder just really clung onto the cream on this side and it just made it really intense. What do you guys think? Just because I'm curious, I want to set this down with powder and see how much we can like tone this down just to get an idea of what an actual face of makeup is gonna look like, because I always powder my face anyways. I don't feel like there was that much of a difference with order of application with the shade She's the Moment, the more soft peach one. But this one is giving me such a huge difference. I'm just gonna dust my translucent powder on top here. And then I'm gonna take my Huda loose setting powder in the shade Peach Pie, and I'm gonna bake under the eyes. What do you guys think of this? So definitely tone down both sides. This side is kind of undetectable. Like you can see a hint of pink underneath, you know what I mean? I kind of liked this side before we powdered it, and this side looks like it got even lighter, but the pink is still there. I'm not crazy about this. This is hard work. Those of you that can pull off this type of pink, kudos to you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and put on the shade Not Too Much, and then I'll finish this off with my last thoughts. All right, guys, I'm back. I applied Not Too Much. I did the powder first, and then I topped it with the cream, and I did set under my eyes, but I didn't set the actual blush here because I'm really liking the way that it's looking naturally, like by itself. Let's talk about the different shades, my thoughts on them, especially for my skin tone and like my experience. First off, the packaging, it is that same Patrick Ta packaging. Honestly, I'm not crazy about this packaging only because of all the fingerprints that you get on these. These can very quickly look really dingy and dirty because of all the fingerprints. The aesthetic of it, first out of the box, super cute. Other than that, I'm not crazy about it, but I do love that we do get this little plastic door here to save that cream from essentially making sure that the powder doesn't fall into it, but also I kind of feel like it gives an extra layer of protection from drying out. This one in Not Too Much, I really like this one. This is very much up my alley. This is going to be, I think, something that everyone enjoys, whether you are a seasoned blush user or if you're very new and you're just dipping your toes into using blush. I feel like it would take a lot to go overboard with this shade. I think it's a beautiful flush of color, especially if you have a skin tone similar to mine. It's very versatile. I could use the cream by itself, the powder by itself, or I can top it. I think that I enjoy doing the powder first and then the cream. That's the way that I'm getting the best payoff and probably the most consistent payoff. She's the Moment. This one, the pigmentation is strong, but again, I really like this tone because I feel like it's right on the cusp of being pinky and orangey. Like it's right there. It is a true peach shade in my opinion. I think that my skin tone does bring out a little bit more of the orange in this, which I don't really mind. And I also, again, feel like I went in with a little bit too much. I got excited because I came off of just using Not Too Much. So I was like, okay, there's not a ton of pigment. It is more sheer. So let me go in with a heavier hand. Maybe don't do that with this shade. It is quite pigmented. And again, I think this one would be beautiful either or the cream or the powder by themselves. I definitely think that this is one that you can kind of like, if you go a little heavier handed and then you powder, it may give you that look that you want from a blush anyways. So it'll save you the steps of putting the blush on, powdering, and then topping it again. This is going to be a hit during the summertime, I think. Now, Just Enough, this pink. Again, I am not one to go for these types of pinks anyways, so I was already a little bit like, I don't know about this, you know? This one, I don't know how versatile this is gonna be. I feel like I can use the powder by itself, but I can't use the cream by itself. I would either have to layer the two or only use the powder because this here just like made it a little too bright on me and a little bit too like washed out pink in my opinion. And I think I'm definitely gonna have to play with this one a lot, but I think that I could make it work. I'm not quite sure about when I get more tan. I think when I get more tan, it's just gonna be a little too bright and I'm not gonna enjoy it. So I feel like right now, the tone that my complexion is right now is like the optimal time for me to use a blush this shade. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it the way that I love Not Too Much. And I think I'm gonna love this one the more I play with it. I don't know. So that's everything for this video. I hope that you guys liked it. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know what you thought about these blushes in the comments down below. But with that being said, before you go, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!